And speaking of tense borders, let's talk about India and China. They've been locked in a border standoff for almost 4 years now. This is in the Galwan Valley. In 2020, Chinese troops showed up and attacked Indian soldiers without provocation. For the first time in 45 years, there were fatalities at the border. But you already know all of this. Here's what's new. Galwan was not a one-off. There have been multiple incidents, multiple incursion attempts by the PLA, that is the Chinese army. They tried again in 2021 and 2022, and each time Indian troops pushed them back. Despite the hostile conditions, they've protected India's borders. Since the standoff began, there has been limited news from the border. Usually, we get official statements or rare comments from political leaders. But for the first time, there are details about on-ground operations. They show how serious the challenge from China is. Since Galwan, there have been at least 2 more skirmishes between September 2021 and November 2022. Chinese troops targeted Indian army positions. They wanted to capture posts. What followed was clashes and hand-to-hand combat. And which posts did the PLA target? One was at Shankar, Tekri. The second was Atari, and both are along the line of actual control, which is the de facto India-China border. The PLA was unsuccessful. Indian troops pushed them back. Reports say soldiers were injured on both sides. Apparently, Indian troops have been doing more than guarding their posts. They've undertaken reconnaissance missions, and some of them involved going behind enemy lines. And you must hear these stories. One such mission happened in the Sikkim area in the northeast. It involved a major from the Para Special Forces, an elite unit of the Indian Army. This soldier is said to have crossed over to the enemy side and provided a live feed of military movements. He stayed put for 120 hours and tracked every movement, despite the tough weather, not to mention the enemy. Another mission involved crossing into Chinese territory and traveling deep inside. The details or specific outcomes have not been made public. They're classified, but the Indian Army was successful. That's what we understand. And how do we know this? Because this week, the Indian Army awarded its officers, the ones involved in these missions. They were given gallantry awards for their acts of bravery. And these details were part of the citations read out during the ceremony. The video of the ceremony was in public domain, but it has been taken down since. It's not clear why, although the stories are now public and being reported internationally. So why the hesitation in sharing these stories? Perhaps because of what the army chief has said. That's General Manoj Pandey. He spoke about the border standoff last week, and he said that the situation is stable but sensitive. So India needs to be on its guard and not give away any tactical advantage. This is what years of the border standoff has taught us. China talks peace but wages war. When their troops tried to enter India, their diplomats and generals were talking de-escalation. Clearly, China was not sincere. It has no intention to withdraw, so challenges will keep coming. What are India's options? Except for maintaining a large troop presence on the border. Will shining a spotlight on Chinese provocations help? Should New Delhi publicize them? While not every secret is worth telling, some transparency may keep Beijing in check.